With all this talk about Destiny 2, it has really brought my attention to the fact that the journey we've all been on playing Destiny 1 is coming to an end. What did Destiny do right? What was it lacking? And overall, was it a good game? Yes, of course Destiny was a good game, but there are some people in the Destiny community that love the game and others who absolutely despise it. Now, I personally fall in the middle. I have gotten my fair amount of enjoyment out of Destiny, but I gotta say, I had very high expectations for this game when it was first announced, and here we are 2.5 years later, and I am still left extremely disappointed with how Destiny turned out. There is so much that could have been added to Destiny which would have taken the game to that next level experience. When Destiny was first announced, my initial excitement was sparked by my interest and curiosity in the game's story, and boy was I let down. After my initial playthrough of all the story missions in Destiny, I was left thinking to myself, that was it? There are so many characters in Destiny that didn't even make an appearance in the Destiny story. Now, I am well aware that Bungie intended for players to learn about the Destiny lore over a long period of time playing the game, not just through a single playthrough of the story. But even today, there is still so much that is unanswered. Yeah, there is a lot of information within the Grimoire cards, but myself as well as many others are not satisfied with that. And we shouldn't be. A lot of what can be learned by reading the Grimoire cards should have been included in the game itself. I honestly would have preferred a deep and rich story that I could play from beginning to end instead of being fed little bits of lore over the course of several years which have only left us with even more unanswered questions. This is Bungie we're talking about. Bungie, the studio that brought us Halo, which had an amazing story with so much detail and lore tied into it. I played the campaigns in the original Halo trilogy so many times over and over again. I just couldn't get enough. Halo was an amazing game with an incredible story that Bungie had created, so you could understand my feeling of disappointment after I had completed all the story missions within Destiny. It seemed like Bungie was setting up the story in Destiny for greatness. I mean, a mysterious ball floating above the last city on Earth? There was so much they could have done with that, but both the city and the Traveler were barely even mentioned within the game. I really hope the storytelling in Destiny 2 is much better, and no, that doesn't mean add more Grimoire cards, it means let me learn about the characters, enemies, and the environment within the game. After seeing the Destiny 2 reveal trailer, we know that the Cabal has destroyed the tower and unleashed mayhem on the city and the Traveler. How am I supposed to feel any kind of emotion when we learned almost nothing about the city or explored it in Destiny 1? That's enough talk about the lore in Destiny. Now I want to touch on something that has caused me to get extremely bored when playing Destiny. The act of Bungie recycling content over and over again within Destiny is so frustrating and contributes a lot to why I repeatedly stopped playing the game. Raids in Destiny have a ton of replay value, but strikes on the other hand can become very stale and uninteresting after a few playthroughs of the same strike. I find very little enjoyment grinding strikes to gain higher light, armor, and weapons. I can't help but feel like Destiny is a game that thrives off of DLC, and I just don't think DLC should be a necessity in order for a player to get enjoyment out of the game again. In my opinion, I feel that the system that Bungie has created for Destiny needs to be adjusted, because after players complete all the new things brought within a DLC update, the routine of playing Destiny starts to become very boring and tiring. Now, as I mentioned before, raids in Destiny have a lot of replay value, meaning you can play the same raid a good amount of times before it starts to become stale and boring. I think strikes in Destiny should be a little more like raids. Obviously, both raids and strikes should be their own thing, but as we see with raids, there are a lot of mechanic-based encounters you will find yourself in, unlike in strikes where it is mostly just run here, defend this, kill that, and go here. If there were more mechanic-based objectives in strikes, I think that would significantly improve the enjoyment and replay value of strikes. Moving right along, I want to talk about the PvP side of Destiny. The gameplay you will experience within the Crucible has mastered the fun factor very well. Now, what I think the Crucible is lacking in Destiny is something more for the player to work towards. You can obtain all kinds of loot while playing in the Crucible, but you can also earn most of these items while playing a PvE event. I think the player should be giving something more to work towards in the Crucible to motivate players to keep playing in the Crucible. Maybe some kind of in-depth progression or ranking system would help with this. This is just a thought. Like I said, the Crucible in Destiny is a lot of fun, but that's not always enough to keep players motivated to play. A long time after Destiny's release, we were finally given private matches. This was a great improvement to Destiny, and players have created a lot of fun and unique game modes within private matches. However, I do feel that the integration of private matches fell short. It would be awesome if in Destiny 2 we are given a lot more options to adjust within the private matches. In Halo, Bungie included so many different options players could adjust within its private matches, and this really helped contribute to the success of the Halo trilogy. Along with the insane customizable options in Halo's private matches, Bungie also included a mode called Forge, which was essentially a map editor. Within Forge, players were given the tools to create their own maps, and with both a map editor and custom game options included in Halo, the possibilities were endless. Now yeah, I understand this is Destiny, not Halo. Destiny is respectably its own unique game, but with custom game options and a map editor in Destiny, I can only see this significantly benefiting the game, and I can already imagine some of the crazy fun, unique creations the community would come up with. With Bungie implementing private matches much later on into Destiny 1, it leads me to believe that they will be returning in Destiny 2, but even better. Now, one thing I found extremely frustrating in Destiny was the absence of matchmaking for raids. Now, I understand the community is kind of split on this. Some say we should have matchmaking, some say we shouldn't, but just hear me out. I understand that Bungie's intent for not including this feature was because the raids take a good amount of teamwork and communication, and if there were matchmaking, then players would get matched up together who have never played before, and everyone may not have a mic. Honestly, I still think there should be a matchmaking option for raids for those people who just cannot find a group to play with. I've experienced several times when I hop on Destiny to go play a raid, and several hours pass and I'm still just trying to get a group together to play with. From my experience going on Destiny LFG and trying to find other players to raid with, it has not been very successful. Sometimes I can't get into a group because others are not satisfied with my light level, even though my light level is high enough to hold my own, or I'm not the character class they were looking for, and I've even been refused of getting into a group because I don't have a specific weapon. This shit is so fucking annoying, and that's why there should be matchmaking for players who just can't seem to find a group. In Destiny, there are multiple different planets we get to explore, but we only get to roam around in a small area within each planet. Honestly, I would be okay with this if these spaces weren't so empty, but there isn't too much to do within these spaces besides a few things like patrol missions, finding some dead ghosts, and collecting chests and materials. In Destiny 2, I hope there is more of an incentive to spend countless hours exploring a world. The only reason I am criticizing certain aspects of Destiny is because it is a great game, and many people as well as myself see the potential that Destiny has and how much better it can be. I am super hyped about Destiny 2 and can't wait until its release. Hopefully Bungie makes the necessary additions to Destiny 2 so that it will really take the Destiny experience to the next level. That's it for this video. Let me know what you would love to see in Destiny 2 and what platform will you be playing on. Hope you all enjoyed the video and stay tuned for more Destiny videos in the future. Peace out, everybody.